You've got mail.
Do you remember the 90s?
Come on, Uncle Phil, this is the 90s, man.
Man, it's the 90s. It's hammer time. Come on.
It's the 90s, remember? Microchips, microwaves, faxes, airphones.
Ma, it's the 90s. You can call it what it is.
Yada, yada, yada.
I can be anything I want to be. It's the 90s.
What, are you nuts? This is the 90s. We're gonna sue you.
Wake up and smell the 90s.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part for which I am solely and completely responsible. I misled people, including even my wife.
So, who do you think we're going to talk about today?
Are we going to talk about Monica Lewinsky?
In part, yes.
Is this just infidelity in general
Infidelity
in the 90s?
In the 90s. That would be a very large subject.
Yeah, Hugh Grant in there, although he wasn't married, but...
No, still infidelity. I mean, no, we're going to be talking about Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, and specifically about the infidelity, or just the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend?
The man, the myth, the legend, but that's sort of what he's mostly known for. So what I would imagine young people would know him by is obviously the president. He is a former president. They still do teach that in school, but also the husband of Hillary Clinton, who has been more famous for the last 20 years or so. So let me give you a little biography of him. He was the 42nd president of the United States. He had 2 full terms from January 20th, 1993 till January 20th, 2001. So almost the entire decade of the 90s. He defeated incumbent George H.W. Bush, or George Sr., as we know him as, and independent Ross Perot, which we will have another podcast about.
I was just about to say
point.
that's a great one right there.
Yeah, he's the Jill Stein of his day. So he won 370 to 168 electoral votes, and then in 1996 he beat Bob Dole and again Ross Perot with 379 electoral votes to Bob Dole's 159 electoral votes. Ross Perot got none either time. He is the first boomer president, but I guess George H.W. was not so popular towards the end of his
No new taxes, war in Iraq, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. So
Dan Quayle,
yeah. Another story for another day, Dan Quayle. So he was the youngest president to serve 2 full terms. He was 47 when he was elected. Obama was 48. How old are we today?
47.
Yeah. So he was president when he was our age.
No, he was hip. He was young, I remember.
Yeah.
Felt like for once you wanted to go out and vote for someone because they were you.
Yeah. What's crazy, though, is that Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump were all born within a couple years of each other. So that whole batch of guys are all the same age. But Clinton was president in his 40s and 50s. Of course, of interest to me and Canadians, the Canadian Prime Minister at the time was Jean Chrétien. Mm-hmm. He served for 10 years from 1993 until 2003, so completely overlapped Bill Clinton. And he was the leader of the Liberal Party in Canada, and he was a proponent of centrist policies. And there was a term, something that I hadn't heard of, the third way, which is sort of government principles that both Chrétien and Clinton subscribed to, that involved a hand up instead of a hand out.
I mean, that would go with the boomer mentality of growing up in the 60s.
So what do you know about Bill Clinton?
My gateway into Bill Clinton is that he actually had a kid that was a teenager.
In the White House.
In the White House. And that was something that we could really relate to. How old was she when she came in?
She was 13.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was born in 1980. So she was 13 to 21.
Now, one thing that was not cool is he was a cat person.
So he had a cat and a dog in the White House.
He had socks, right?
Socks and Buddy.
My gateway into this was that it was a family with children.
Child.
or child.
They had
but,
one child.
But just a child in the White House. So it was finally relatable. It wasn't just some old guy that was like your grandpa. You know, and that was interesting. And I remember the two that they had the whole Rock the Vote thing that came out at the time as well with MTV. And that was a really big push for our generation. That the youth coming out for Clinton was a big decider on his being elected.
Not specifically. I do have the Arsenio Hall clip.
There are a lot of young people who don't think they should vote at all anymore. They feel that you're all the same. Why are you not the same?
I'm not the same because I'm talking about things in this election that I've been working on for years that I really care about. I was in South Central LA 3 years before the riot occurred. I came out here, and all the politicians always go to Hollywood to meet the movie stars and the entertainers, you know, to raise money. And I gave a speech here 3 years ago, and I asked to go to South Central LA and meet with people from UNO and SCOC, those community organizations, because I could see how terrible it was and how things could get out of hand. I met with a dozen sixth graders about my daughter's age who told me their biggest fear in life was being shot going to and from school.
I saw that live.
Yeah, I may have too.
With the rest of it, that was a game-changing television moment of the 90s, is when Bill Clinton came on the Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah.
He had his house band, and they didn't even announce the president or anything. It just there was some saxophone player, it looked like Jay Leno or something, sitting there in the band, and then all of a sudden, freaking with Chester Cheetah cool shades on.
Yep.
Spins around, and it's Bill Clinton, the place goes electric.
Yeah, he was probably the first like pop culture president who involved himself in youth culture, like you said. I mean, we weren't old enough to vote for him, but
it was a very strategic and very effective move on his part.
Totally. Do you know who his vice president was?
Well, yeah, Al Gore.
And his wife?
Mr. Personality, Al Gore. And unfortunately, Tipper Gore came along with the package.
Now, I forgot to actually look this up, but wasn't she the one who made it so that music with explicit language had to have warnings on it?
She was one of the people that was behind the parental advisory ratings on music and eventually video games as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. And they're still on, CDs, I guess.
Yeah, there's not a lot of physical items anymore.
No. Do you know of any of Bill Clinton's policies from the 8 years he was president?
I think I'm going to defer to the dossier.
Oh, come on. You got to guess, or this isn't a conversation.
I was way too busy, I don't know, quoting Tarantino lines or something, or being a very sensitive boy listening to Tori Amos or something, you know.
You can't think of any of the policies that passed during his time?
Yeah, not particularly.
There were a couple that were pretty notable.
Did he have a judge or two that came in at that time? So
he was president for 8 years. He only was able to appoint 2 Supreme Court justices. One of them was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, very notable. And Stephen Breyer. Breyer.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know that for the last 3 years of his term, he had a budget surplus? He was also he presided over the longest period of peacetime economic expansion in American history. So have you ever heard of a little thing called NAFTA?
Oh, so NAFTA was on his watch?
Yep.
Okay, so yes, I did know about NAFTA.
So that was the North American Free Trade Agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico.
That's right, and that's when we were sending a lot of factory work and assembly work and things over the border to Mexico, correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
I believe so.
Yep. He also had a crime bill that expanded the death penalty, which is kind of surprising for a Democrat, for non-deadly offenses like large-scale drug trafficking. And he had the assault weapons ban for 10 years. Like
Really?
He was able to get an assault weapons ban, and then it expired, and then it was never able to be renewed.
Now, it doesn't surprise me that he was tough on crime considering he was a Southerner.
Right, from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Something else that he implemented during his time, I have directly used. Can you guess?
As a Canadian?
No, as a woman.
Oh, as a woman.
Although it doesn't apply to just women, but it applies more to women than not.
I am stumped.
FMLA.
Really?
Yeah. So FMLA was implemented in 1993 that allowed people to take unpaid time off for pregnancy, adoption, or medical issues without losing their job.
See, this is when you sit here and you start to do the math in your head and you start to get really terrified that that wasn't even implemented until the 90s.
Yeah, women could just like get fired. That's all.
So
Leave that pause in.
I remember it was a package deal. He came with his wife, Hillary.
Yes.
And Hillary was Hillary, even to my perception when I was a teenager, she seemed more of a vice president than Al Gore.
Yeah. Well, they claim that you got 2 presidents for the price of 1.
Yes.
And some people love that, and some people were very turned off by that.
Well, she's a woman. But when you say that some of these things were implemented, I can't believe that she wasn't in his ear.
I'm sure she was. And a similar act had been vetoed by George H.W. Bush a couple times. So before that, he's like, who cares if women
not
go back to work?
surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah. So that's the law that protected people, also men with medical issues, from losing their jobs. Unpaid. Completely unpaid. I don't understand how this country expects women to have babies. Anyways, he attempted universal health care, but was thwarted by the American Medical Association and health insurance companies. So no surprise.
I mean, same old, same old. It's still today, so.
Yep. So this is interesting. During his time, he implemented Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which is for gay and lesbian people to be allowed to serve in the military if they don't disclose their sexuality, and the military is not allowed to ask them. So he specifically was a proponent of gay people being able to serve unencumbered, but he knew that if he were to make an executive order to integrate the military, that there would be legal opposition that could make it harder for gay and lesbian people to get that right later on.
Yeah, you roll the dice.
Yeah.
You want to try to go all the way.
But he was doing it incrementally. However, interestingly enough, he also signed the Defense of Marriage Act of 1996, which defined marriage for federal purposes as the legal union of one man and one woman. And the legislation allowed individual states to refuse to recognize gay marriages that were performed in other states. He criticized it as divisive and unnecessary, but he signed it because he kind of had no choice, because I believe it was veto-proof. The Defense of Marriage Act codified non-recognition of same-sex marriages for all federal purposes, including insurance benefits, Social Security, survivors' benefits, immigration, bankruptcy, and the filing of joint tax returns. In 2022, it was repealed by the passage of the Respect for Marriage Act, which was signed into law by Joe Biden, who had previously voted in favor of Defense of Marriage Act. So the Defense of Marriage Act was anti-gay marriage.
Yes.
And the Respect for Marriage Act was pro-gay marriage.
I'm glad you got us there eventually, because I was circling the drain as well.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So it does seem that Clinton was pretty progressive in that area of politics for sure, but he also knew his limits, and he didn't, and so his work was incremental.
I mean, he couldn't keep it in his pants, but the guy was very savvy. I mean, was he a lawyer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He and Hillary were lawyers.
Yep. They met in 1971 at the Yale Law Library, and she was actually a year ahead of him in school.
He certainly used the system to his advantage. He gamed. He was savvy enough to try to game and negotiate to try to get what.
But I mean,
needed.
he was a career politician too. He was very young, but he served 2 separate terms as governor of Arkansas prior to being president. So he knew the system.
Yeah.
Did you know that the first White House website was during his term, which makes a lot of sense?
What do you have a timing on this?
1994.
He looks like a guy who'd be surfing the web. I could see him as a cartoon version of him.
Surfing on like a keyboard, like a tiny.
Wearing those sweet sunglasses, his hair all slicked back. This reminds me, I don't think you're going to go here, so I'm going to interject myself on here. Bill Clinton was specifically in the theme song in the opening Animaniacs.
Animaniacs, got his cute
tobacco packs away the snacks while Bill Clinton plays the sax. We're animaniacs.
Snack sacks.
Snacks, sacks. Nice. He was very covered by pop culture. SNL did so much stuff. I mean, SNL has always done political stuff, but there was a lot of Clinton.
So I believe Phil Hartman started him.
Mrs. Clinton asked us not to let you into any more fast food places.
Well, I just want to mingle with the American people, talk with some real folks, maybe get a Diet Coke or something.
All right, fine. But please, don't tell Mrs. Clinton.
Jim, let me tell you something. There's going to be a whole bunch of things we don't tell Mrs. Clinton. Fast food is the least of our worries, okay, buddy?
He was definitely a food president as well.
He
was almost an Elvis level president, like with the peanut butter and banana sandwich kind of thing. Like apparently he had lots of Southern, not particularly healthy diets.
Until he had some health issues later on in his life. And then he went vegan.
And now and nowadays he's quite svelte.
Quite svelte. All right, so now is the pièce de résistance, Monica Lewinsky.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people.
What do you know about Monica Lewinsky?
We tag this as explicit, correct? I believe so.
You're
This
doing the
one,
tagging.
this one in particular. What do I know about Monica Lewinsky? Monica Lewinsky was
adult conversation.
Was
yes.
an aide.
She's an intern first.
Apparently, she got exclusive access or some type of access directly to the president in a personal encounter.
Yes.
And over time, I guess, they built on a relationship and had intimate relations. And the biggest thing about this was the national conversation was what exactly constitutes sex.
That's right. Yeah.
Because there were a lot of people that were talking about that if you got a blowjob, does that constitute sex or infidelity?
Right.
Well, maybe not infidelity, but sexual relations.
Yeah.
It was not biblical what they did.
So there was a bunch of different characters in this whole situation. Do you know any of the other ones?
I'm picturing that really shrill, annoying blonde lady who basically leaked all of this. God help us. Give us the name.
Linda Tripp.
Linda Tripp, my lord.
Yeah. So she was an older woman, but who was friends with Monica Lewinsky. Monica started telling her about the situation. So, of course, what a good friend does is start recording.
Of course.
The phone conversations.
It's the Nixon playbook. Come on.
Yep.
We didn't have sex, Linda.
Well, what do you call it?
We fooled around.
Oh.
Sex?
I don't know. I think if you get to orgasm, that's having sex.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's not having
sex is having intercourse.
So that was Monica Lewinsky. Keep in mind, they had an 18-month affair. At the beginning of it, she was 22 and he was 49. So obviously there was a little bit of an age difference and certainly a power imbalance.
Certainly. So, Cheryl, what was the evidence?
Well, our good friend, Linda Tripp, convinced her to keep a blue dress that had some of our dear president's semen on it.
Didn't get it dry cleaned.
Did not get it dry cleaned on purpose.
Semen notoriously hard to get out if you ask any dry cleaner as well.
I didn't have a chance to do any recognizance on that.
Didn't make any phone calls? Shame
No.
on you.
I know.
Just imagine this though. The FBI is making those phone calls
Right?
probably to invest. That's some schmo. The lower tier guy has to make those phone calls to find out the integrity of semen on polyester women's pantsuits.
So this story broke on January 17th, 1998 by Drudge Report.
It was that late. Wow.
Yeah. It was that late. However, in 1994, Paula Jones, do you remember her?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She had initiated a sexual harassment lawsuit against Clinton prior to the Lewinsky thing.
But while in presidency.
Yeah, he was president, claiming he had made unwanted advances towards her in 1991, which is prior to the presidency. Clinton denied the allegations, and apparently there was some whole legal to-do with that, and that is what led him to what? Being impeached.
Oh, correct. Yes.
Yes. So
yes, impeachment. Sorry, I wasn't going there, but yes. Yes.
Impeachment was sort of a part of this. The Monica Lewinsky thing was the sort of media extravaganza, but Paula Jones is really the issue of why he got impeached, because apparently he lied under oath about having relations with Paula Jones.
Yeah.
So the impeachment was in 1998. There were two items. There was perjury and there was obstruction of justice. So he was impeached by the House, 228 to 206, but it didn't pass the Senate, so he wasn't removed. He was impeached, but not removed.
Probably, especially since this is now in his last term, later towards leading up to the election, it certainly did not do the Democrats and Al Gore any favors.
No, and Al Gore has said he was unhappy by that whole situation because he then ran for president and did not win, and he was not pleased with that. Obviously,
we won't get into whether he was supposed to win or not, or any fallibility in our electoral system.
No,
because that was in the year 2000, which this podcast does not cover.
Not officially. Besides Lewinsky, the other sort of major scandal during his presidency was Whitewater. Do you know anything about that?
Yes.
What do you know about it?
I'm going to reverse that now. I know that there's a word called Whitewater.
And it may have happened during the Clinton years. It was a real estate thing. But if there's a Trivial Pursuit question about Whitewater,
just say real estate.
Real estate. Yeah. And Bill Clinton. So yeah, the Clintons got involved with some real estate thing and it didn't go well. Can you name one of the two movies that are in my brain that I know referred to him that were made during the years he was still president?
Primary Colors.
Correct. Primary Colors was really like John Travolta playing Bill Clinton and Emma Thompson playing Hillary Clinton.
Directed by Mike Nichols.
By Mike Nichols. The other one was a little bit more of just a general political satire, but it kind of was about scenarios that came up during his presidency.
No, I don't know.
Wag the Dog.
Oh, jeez.
The sexual misconduct occurred inside the Oval Office. With the election only days away, how much will this scandal affect the outcome?
The president spent the weekend pressing the flash. He wasn't campaigning, he was dating, actually.
Now, Washington's top spin doctor.
We can distract the press for 11 days till the election. I think we got a chance.
Has an idea, but he can't pull it off without Hollywood's top producer.
You want me to produce your war?
It was basically about like distracting the media by creating something artificial in order to make them talk about something else.
Yeah, both. Wag the Dog's a better movie. Have you seen Primary Colors?
I've seen both. I liked Wag the Dog better.
Yeah, Primary Colors is not a great movie.
I remember an interview with Emma Thompson, and they asked her how she got the American accent that Hillary Clinton did, and she said something along the lines of, I just imagined that there were marbles in my mouth and I had to talk around them.
That is the most backhanded way.
I don't know that it was a compliment, but Emma Thompson is a British actress and the American accent is different.
Well, I was about to say, I don't think it was a slight to Hillary Clinton.
No,
I think it was a slight to the American dialect.
I think so.
Is what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, legacy of Bill Clinton, at least for us.
So, polls suggest that he was quite popular.
Yes.
We were quite prosperous in the United States. I didn't live here during his years, so I guess that would be up to you and your experience.
The thing is he was so popular and well liked. Maybe,
and it didn't matter about all of the sexual indiscretions.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That just is proof whether you agreed with his policies or thought he was a great president, the cult of personality around him and kind of his magnetism.
Charisma, one might say.
Charisma. It allowed people to basically kind of just blow it off. In fact, I would say blow it off. I think a lot of people just, if anything, they were almost kind of like, why'd you have to get caught?
Yeah.
You know, like not.
We can thank Linda Tripp for that.
Yeah. Firstly, because of the implications on the House and the Democratic Party and everything else, but also just the fact that they were just, I think in a lot of secret ways, men and women kind of thought it was kind of like intriguing, you know, the same way with Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe and everything else. No one thinks about like what that did to their wives, what that did to their families. They just think, man, what a guy, you know, what a smooth character kind of thing.
They're heading into 50 years of marriage. So whatever situation they're in, it seems to be working out for them.
And also, she had to have known what she was getting into, because that's what attracted her to him in the first place.
Yeah.
So
no, there were many indiscretions on the record, off the record, but Monica Lewinsky and Paula Jones were the main ones that involved the legal apparatus of America. And
we'll insert some clip of some sketch comedy involving dresses or something else.
Oh,
I
have.
There's more than enough. It was a free for all.
So much.
Anyway, I just want to tell you that I'm definitely going to wear the dress that I wore to the radio address that still has a presidential spunk on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the end.
All right. We're wrapping it up. Theme song music is playing in the background. I'm Dave.
I'm Cheryl.
And the 90s. And we'll see you next time. Hit it, Billy.
I don't know. Billy?
I don't know. Bill, what would people call him?
Bubba.
Bubba. Play us out, Bubba.
Yeah.
Got a favorite 90s moment or topic you want us to dive into? We'd love to hear about it. If you think we got everything wrong, we'd love to hear about that too. Drop us an email at andthe90spod@gmail.com, link in the episode description, and you can be damn sure that we'll read your comments on the show. Also, if you're digging the show, please rate, comment, subscribe, and tell everyone you know to check us out. It really does make a difference. Till next time, remember, we're nostalgia for the olds and education for the youths.